We are live again. Surprisingly, we have 6 lives today. I am changing dresses every half an hour to be with a new guest speaker. And today is a good one because he is a comedian. That's not his main thing. And he has a name that's hard to pronounce. That's not his main thing. I just found out Mr. Bean can't even pronounce it, but we'll try. Adam Saint Jean. You do it.
Adam St. John Lawrence, but I don't use it anyway. It's just for Googleability, so don't worry about it. Lovely dress, by the way. Love the colors.
Oh, well,
You
thank
really blend
you.
in with your picture behind you and the trees outside. It's like the whole thing's been styled by some top stylist.
People are like, is she a part of the art? Is it
I mean, it's
real?
just amazing. You know, it's like your life is art. It's just
No,
amazing.
I painted that for my mom and I hate it. And she just
Wow.
seems to love it. And I'm like,
Okay.
your moms always love everything that you do.
I've got a painting by my mum in
Yeah.
the guest room, which she hates. There we go.
Most of us artists
It's a
hate.
reverse. Yeah.
So as we are I consider myself kind of a comedian and you are a comedian. Do you appreciate when you watch your shows afterwards or when you hear yourself and you go, that was funny? Or are we just as critical as artists are on ourselves?
Oh, that's hard. In fact, I don't often watch my shows afterwards. They're usually, my comedy shows that I do are usually closed door things inside organizations. They don't want recordings.
Oh,
But I do sometimes watch the lectures and stuff that I give afterwards, or podcasts that I love, that I've given. I like listening back to those. And it's a mix, isn't it? Sometimes you think, yeah, that was quite a good way of saying that. I'll use that again. I'll steal it from myself. Other ones you think, well, I messed that one up completely. I wasn't listening to the question at all, was I? So it's
well,
really a mix. It's a roller coaster. Yeah.
well, I train the skill of humor and I say, it only works 43.2% of the time. It's a risk
It
to
is a risk.
ourselves as well. We're like,
It
oh,
is a
that
risk.
didn't work.
Yeah, and it's a vulnerability as well, which is why it can be both powerful and risky. I mean, it can be dangerous. It's a get the humor right, and you can make almost any problem go away. Get it wrong, you made it a lot worse right away.
So speaking of this risk, the title of the show is very nice. It's like start doing essentially. And
Hmm.
people want to be more engaging. They want to be funnier. They want to change things in their life, but they sit down and they talk about it with their therapist. I'm a therapist. I know they do this a lot. I have to stop them and be like, stand up and do an improv exercise that will shift how you feel about this so that your life will actually change and that spending your money on me will actually work. So tell me about this sitting down problem that we have when it comes to shifting things in our situations in our organizations.
Yeah, we've got this wonderful invention called language, which a few other animals have as well, but no one has it to the level that we have it, with the degrees of nuance that we have, with all the different languages and so on. It's an amazing thing, and we're massively over reliant on it. We use words in everything. Bob Geldof said many years ago, poets, priests, and politicians, they run the world, and they're all strong with words. Yeah? And that's fine because it's such a wonderful tool. But there are lots of things that words can't do. There are lots of very, very important things in our lives that we can't express well through words. As well as being a comedian, I'm a designer. I'm a person who helps organizations become more designerly, more human-centered, whatever they call it. And there's lots of talking. Sorry?
I said, whatever they call it. Like
Whatever they call it. They call it service design, design thinking, human-centered design, marketing 4.0, innovation, all kinds of stuff. There's all the bullshit bingo for that one. But often they want to change by talking. And it's very, very well. There are a bunch of problems with that. First of all, it's a really bad way to change. I mean, it can help you prepare for change in some way, but often you're going to be talking up the bad stuff as much as the good stuff. And it's very unfair. There are lots of people in our organizations who are not word strong, as the Vikings might have put it. You know, they're not good with language, and they tend to be in the back rooms. They might be specialists. They might be pushed quite far down the organization, but they're not usually in those leading positions. And that's a shame because they have incredible insight, incredible knowledge. And if we're working all the time through words, they're not going to share. They're going to be excluded by that. So I really believe that there are many, many ways we can be communicating. And speaking or writing about it is only one of those things. It's only one of those options. If I have a group who are trying to make a decision and they're talking, I'll say, why don't you spend 10 minutes to build two prototypes of your ideas and go out and put them in front of some people and come back with some more data. And they will be arguing A or B, and they'll make a prototype of A. on a piece of paper or out of some cardboard, or they'll act it out or something. They'll go out of the room and they'll try it with somebody, and they'll come back and they'll say, we figured it out. The answer is F. It's something which combines a bit of A and a bit of B. It's yes-anding, improv type speaking. Yeah, it will combine also things that prototype expressed, which they hadn't put into words because they couldn't put them into words. And they will have moved them on by doing and not talking. If I want to show you, I want to explain something to you, then I can tell you, or I can show you, or I can walk you through it, and you'll understand it much more if you've done it yourself. So a lot of my work is around trying to get organizations and people to get up and try something.
Yeah. And that scares them because because change happens faster, guaranteed. You'll see the proof. And I suppose that's out of their comfort zone. And so how do you make it? Do you use humor to make it in their comfort zone more? How do you get them like over that fear of what we do, which is improv?
That's a great question. And a lot of this is about building a safe space for people. Yeah. People do feel safe while they're talking because they're protected by a level of abstraction. I work with organizations who, let's say their main business is, I don't know, selling telephones. Yeah. And you can go into their organization and they're happy to talk to you for days about selling telephones and show you hundreds of PowerPoints about selling telephones. And if you say to them, stand up and show me how you sell a phone. Oh my goodness, that's the most terrifying thing you've ever asked them to do. And that is the core business of their organization. Asking them to simulate the core business of their organization is way too freaky. I think that's a problem. That's a massive problem. So how do you make them feel good about that? The question was, how do you build this safe space? There's a whole bunch. That's a whole mastery in itself, I think. Sure. Often I show up very conservative. I wear a suit to work nearly all the time. I can be Professor Lawrence if I need to be. I can show them the books I've written and stuff like this to establish good of credentials. Yeah, you start with the McKinsey report. You start with the heavy numbers and so on to show this is a real way of working. And then quite soon, I try to move to doing something where everybody messes up, where everybody gets it wrong and has fun doing that. Yeah. So we started with the 2 points that, one, this is real, it's a way to be successful. And two, oh, look, we're all human. And now we can start. Wow. Based on that point, I find then step by step, easing folks into this, avoiding putting the spotlight on anybody who's not really keen to have the spotlight, et cetera, et cetera. This is the way you move it in.
I love it because everyone's coming to our conference in Barcelona. We're all facilitators, trainers. And this is a huge problem because we like to do it in an engaging way. Like we're having a Burning Man, marry yourself, marry your favorite value or quality of yourself session. Like we're out of the box, but we can't bring that energy to a lot of corporations. So we always have to put a little.
Not straight away, but you'll find that they get in really quickly if they. Listen, there's going to be different types of people in the room. There's people who will do anything because it's fun. Yeah. And there are others who hear the word fun. They think that's not work.
It's the Germans.
Yeah. They want to know, why are we doing this? Yeah. So I need to start with them first. I need to convince those people who want a logical reason to be doing this that there is one of those, because I've got the fun fans anyway. Yeah, totally. So start with those and then move towards them. I do a little warm-up game quite often where you start by counting 1, 2, 3 with each other. Yeah. It's quite difficult because you take turns. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Then you change that to clap 2, 3, and then clap, wiggle 2, 3. You may have seen the game. And you end up by going, clap, jump, wiggle. And you've got a room of people who are basically doing a stupid dance 3 minutes after you introduce this game. But it's really important you started with 1, 2, 3. With a very logical, very familiar thing. And with that, step by step, in a couple of minutes, people go crazy. I mean, they really have great fun. They're laughing. They're doing silly duck dances. These are CEOs. These are insurance claims adjusters. They're government ministers. They're soldiers. They're all kinds of people. But you can't start them with that. You've got to ease them into it and give them a good reason.
That's beautiful. This whole idea of sitting as a therapist, it's like talk therapy works a little bit. And I can say that about myself because I've been to lots of different types of therapy. And let's even go further to this. Like there's 2 different opinions in the facilitator world. You tell them why they're going to do it for the rational people, the greens and the blues on that disc spectrum over there, or you do the exercise, but then the debriefing is super, super important. So I wonder, when you are doing human design with them, how much meta conversation do you give them about what you're doing? Are you just leading them through an experience and at the end, ta-da? Or are you helping them understand so they can reproduce it alone? I don't know.
That's a great question. It's kind of a cycle. Yeah. So if you think of something like a disc or whatever, those kind of things, they're basically, all those preferences are things about there. Those who like to do, those who like to watch, those who like to make connections, and those who like to plan forward. Yeah. And we can shift between those things in different roles and different times of the day and so on. But we need to keep doing that. We need to be doing something and then reflecting on what happened and saying, what does this mean for us? And what are we going to do next with this? Then we're doing the next thing. Yeah. That's the cycle of life. That's plan, do, check, adjust, all these things. Yeah. And I find it useful to start with the hardest ones. You lick the toad first. So you start by putting in the theory and wear the suit and drop the names to convince those very, very reluctant people that this is real. And the best thing is if the CEO's in the room saying, by the way, today's a very important part of our project. It's sponsored by Susan and myself. It's on your employee assessment under this category, and this kind of stuff. So they know it's work. And then you're dipping into all those things. You're doing something, but you're also giving time to reflect on it and time to connect what's happened there to what you're actually doing, and time to look forward. So you're needing to serve those hungers equally, if you like. And very often the way that I will debrief stuff is by asking people a couple of questions, which are, what did you just see? Yeah. And ask them to actually say what they saw with their eyes and heard with their ears, not what they constructed with their brains. That's a different step. Yeah. So we talk about first level constructs and second level constructs. Yeah. I saw people were engaged. No, you didn't. What did you see? I saw them leaning forward. I saw their eyes being wider open. I saw their hands coming up. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. What else is like that? Well, people who are excited, people who are nervous, people who are defending themselves. Really interesting. Yeah. So you ask them, what did they see and what else is like that? And they'll often discover what they need to discover. There's a really silly game called Kitty in the Corner. I don't know if you play it. You know, it's Kitty wants a corner, Kitty wants a corner. It's a silly child's game. And I play that with CEOs or whatever. And then you say, what did you see? Well, I saw people, you know, talking, people jumping around, etc., etc. What is like that? Well, it's like your department never takes risks. Boom. Yeah? Wham. It's like you guys jump in for anything. You never think about the consequences. Whoa. Yeah. It comes right up. When you ask them to connect that to their reality, they will always find something. And that's a great conversation you can have. And the final question is, what do we do with this?
Wow.
And you've already got out of what seems a very trivial thing. You've got people's interest. By the way, because we're talking to folks who don't like play, I would never call that a game.
How do you not call that a game?
You call it brain training. That's one from Renatus Hergenrad, a brilliant facilitator. He calls it always brain training. I often say, let's do a simulation, or I'd like to try an experiment. Yeah. And these are all sort of thinker planner words. Yeah. They're all those brain words. Yeah. Rather than let's have some fun, or let's do something, or let's break the ice. I don't need to break the ice. I'm here at work. Ice is useful. Ice is structure. Yeah. This kind of stuff.
And when they notice that it's a children's game, you're like, oh, what a coincidence. It's the perfect game to look at what's happening in your department.
Maybe. I wouldn't even make that connection so strongly for them. So you might say, what else is like? They'll say it's like a children's game. Great. What else? It's like the communication structures in the department. Yeah. What else? What else? What else? What else? To show them there's lots going on in this. I really like people to make their own connections, and generally they're very good at it. And they'll often find connections that I don't see anyway.
Wow. But in a selfish way, I don't know about the viewers who are watching this, but thank you. Those are the coolest 3 debriefing questions I've heard in my 10 years in the applied improv and facilitation.
I stole them from Renatus, and I've stopped using Renatus Hergenrad, and I've stopped using almost anything else. So the 3 were, what did you just see and hear? Or rephrase it any way you like, but it's not about what they think, but what they actually observed. Yeah. The second one is, what else is like that, or what is similar to that, or what does that remind you of?
Yeah.
And they'll often start with very visual similarities, like it looks like a kiddies game, it looks like the playground. Great. What else? And you might prompt them to go to more metaphorical connections if they want to. And the final one is, what do we do with this? And the this of that, it might be this particular exercise, or more usually, what do we do with the thinking behind it?
We're going to tag Renatus for that. He's off on holidays right now.
He should. He's away. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask, this wasn't on the agenda, but I think you'll be able to improvise and answer. And I'm curious about this. At our conference, I'm doing a workshop in open space called Shut Up, How to Get the Introverts' Ideas Heard. And when you say, what else? What's your habit of allowing the space for the quieter people, the more reserved people who need 5 to 10 seconds before they speak up to get heard before the loud people go in with 1 second hesitation?
Use less talking. That's one of the problems that goes away when you're not reliant on words. Yeah. So for example, if the first step down from that is, rather than asking the group, okay, what do you think? You might say, please take a Post-it and write down what you're thinking.
Nice.
And that already gives a fairness to it. Even better, we've learned this through Corona and so on. Open your laptop and put a Miro on the board about what you're thinking, even in the room. Yeah. Because
beautiful.
For some people, walking to the front of the room to put up a sticky note is quite a big challenge.
Yeah.
Others love it, but typing it on my pad or on my laptop, that's really, really easy. Beautiful. And then there's the thing about, rather than expressing ourselves through words, we express ourselves through doing or building something. So if people take your thinking, make some rough sketches about those, turn them into some quick prototypes, use the cardboard, use the Playmobil, whatever it is, and then try out those prototypes with each other. So they're going to be talking about doing that, but it's a kind of talking which is triangular talking. They're not looking at each other, they're looking at the prototype, which makes it much easier to be honest with each other. Wow. And again, the prototype can carry things that I can't write on a Post-it. I see some of my friends, my friend Marcus, right, my business partner, for example, when you are around him with his family, you can see how much he loves his family. It's just beautiful. He's got these 2 wonderful kids and a lovely partner, and it's beautiful to watch that going on. If you ask him how much he loves his family, he can't answer. He'll say enormously. Of course he will. Any of us would, but you can't tell him. He can't tell you how. That does not fit into words. It can fit into a novel maybe, or into a play, but you can't write it on a Post-it. There are many, many really important things in life that don't work as words. I'm sitting here just down the road from me are the headquarters of 2 big German sport fashion companies. So you've heard of both of them, and I work with both of those, lucky to have that privilege. And they deal with things like coolness, whether a thing is cool or not. And you can't tell me why a thing is cool or not, or if it's cool or not. You can show it to me, and I can see it's cool, and I can see why it's cool. So getting away from this language, we still need language, of course, but getting away from it and balancing it out with more doing and more building and more acting out, it's incredible how that gives space to different types of people. Or I prefer to say different preferences. I don't like categorizing people as introvert, extrovert, but folks with introversion preferences on this day, folks with extroversion preferences on this day.
Yeah. Giving space. That's like just that's definition. You need space. To sit, you take up very little. To use words, you just move your mouth. But what do you see, and what can you build from what you're seeing and thinking and feeling? I'm just imagining a normal corporate training, and then I'm imagining yours where it's like the whole space, the energy is totally occupied.
It might be, but we'd start up with chairs in rows, because we're starting with that conservative kickoff. And I've got the suit on. Otherwise, it's like, oh my goodness, it's some kind of play group or therapy, group therapy. I never used circles of chairs, by the way, because that's therapy for people. But start with those conservative thing, and then like, okay, let's stand up and move the chairs back. I want to try something. And then we're doing stuff, and we're rearranging the room a lot, because when people change where they're sitting, it helps them adopt new ideas, and et cetera, and it breaks constellations and social pressures between people. So keeping the room moving and changing is really, really important. Covering the glass door is really important, so no one's looking in. All these things.
Hello, expert facilitator. That was the most valuable facilitation. I have got so many. Well, I can't because I have to make eye contact, but I got notes.
Oh,
thank
fantastic.
you.
I hope they're useful.
Yes, I'm sure this is going to be watched a lot by our colleagues, because I am going to promote this a lot. Those are great ideas. Thank you to you and all the people who helped you learn these things in your communities. Thank you, Anna Tus and Marcus. Yeah.
I'll just mention one of those, if I may, the Global Service Jam or the Global Jams. If you want to try this stuff out in a context of building and doing, not talking, check out globaljams.org. It's a non-profit. I make no money from that. In fact, it costs me lots of money to support that every year, because we think it's an amazing place to learn.
When is it?
It's every year. The next one's going around December, which is in November, sorry, a global Gov Jam for public services. And then next February, March will be the next global service jam, the big one.
And is it you're in Lexington?
All over the world.
Oh, okay.
It's all over the world. It's a global hackathon, takes place in up to 150 cities simultaneously.
Oh gosh. Wow. Okay. So that would be,
that's a great thing.
That's a great thing. Oh, sounds fun. So, oh, that energy must be a party.
It is. Lots of rubber chickens for some reason.
Those are my favorites. Oh, wow. That's a modern rubber chicken.
That's a New York rubber chicken, that one.
New York.
Yeah, I actually got that one in New York.
Oh, he's too cute.
He is. He's a bit of an eagle. I don't know. He's got this sort of...
It's a chicken who wants to be an eagle. Well, there's some leadership memes on that, isn't there?
Yeah. Got a cute tush. Yeah, he's a nice one.
Oh, super cute. Great. Well, thank you for bringing you and your chicken to the session.
Thanks for having me. Have a fantastic festival.
We'll have more talks like this, guys, and workshops at the Change Days in Barcelona, October 25th, 27th. You can still give a workshop in the open space, which is kind of what Adam's talking about here. This energy of showing, and whoever comes, and when it's over, it's over. And it's a flowing energy, because the structure and the cerebral, that's Spanish,
cerebral.
Yes. Oh, that's the word, cerebral. Look at me. I'm so fluent in Spanish. I can't even think in English anymore. Good. Less thinking, more doing. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.